swatched out all the most of the blues that I have on my palette. And when we discuss blues, we often include the greens, because green is a combination of blue and yellow. So we'll look at those. Now, blue can be, if you're part of the, one of the characteristics of a hue or color is temperature. And blues can lean to the warm side or to the cool side, depending on the pigments that are used in the colors. Okay, the first color here is Verditer Blue. This one's made by Holbein, but it's also made by Daniel Smith and several other manufacturers. The pigments used in this color are PB28 and PW6. So basically they've just added white to a PB28 pigment. It's easy to make that color. This is Cerulean Blue, red shade. This is by Cinelli. This is a PB28 also. This is Cerulean by Holbein. They use PB35, a different pigment. So really, when you're looking at the same color in different by different manufacturers or different companies, you really have to pay attention to what pigments are used, how many pigments are used, and then you have to decide which one works best for your needs. The Holbein Cerulean is a little bit more opaque. This is a blue called Sonorous Blue. It's by Cinelli. It has PB15:3 and a white PW4. So that's an easy color to mix. It's basically Phthalo Blue and white. This is a color called Compost Blue by Holbein. It's also PB15 and it's PW6, so it's also a phthalo with a white. This is Peacock by Holbein. It's PB17. This is Phthalo Blue by Da Vinci, which is PB15. And you'll find that Phthalo Blue is in many of the variation of mixes. It's very easy to use Phthalo Blue to mix other blues. So that's why this color is on a lot of people's palettes, even though you rarely use this color in its full strength because it's a very staining, strong color. This is also PB15, but it's :1. This is Berlin Blue by Marie Blue. And then we get in over here to the Cobalts. This is PB28 also, but this is Cobalt Deep by Da Vinci. This is PB29, which is Ultramarine, but Cinelli, in their Ultramarine, they put a violet, a PB15. So it's a little bit more on the violet side. This is Ultramarine by Marie Blue. That's the PB29. So if you look at the different swatches and you go on the websites, you can really decide which version you would like the best from these different companies. Now here is Indigo by Cinelli, and it uses 3 pigments. PB60, which is basically Indanthrone or Indanthrene, whichever companies call it different things. It also has PB15:1, which is this pigment up here, and it has a black, PBK7. That's how they make their indigo. But now if you look at the indigo from Da Vinci, which you can see is a little bit less green, they use PB27 for their indigo. Here's a color called Maya Blue, which is PB15. Paris Blue, which I don't have the pigment information. This is a Lucas color, and I don't have the information on that. This is Prussian Blue, which is another very common pigment. This is PB27. So if you look at these two, they're both PB27s, just a darker version. And this is by Da Vinci also. This is in the Indanthrene that we were talking about, which is PB60 by Da Vinci. And in Maymery Blue, it's called Fayence Blue. And in Daniel Smith, it's called Indanthrone. And the reason this is important is so that you don't duplicate your colors. If you happen to really go in and you saw this color called Fayence Blue, and so you bought that, and then you bought Indanthrene, you would soon find out that you had bought the same pigment. And early on in my watercolor career, I did this repeatedly, which is why you see that I have so many of the same colors in, say, for example, down here, in the same pigments, because they have different names in different companies. So you really have to compare them and make sure that you're not buying the same pigment or the same paint, just with a different name. This is Payne's Gray by Daniel Smith. It's called Payne's Blue Gray. This is a new color by Daniel Smith. It also has the PB60 in it and a black PBK6. So basically they just took the Indanthrene and added black and got their Payne's Gray. Here's another Indigo by Holbein, and it is PB27 and a black PBK7. And that's how they got their Indigo, was basically they took Prussian Blue and added a little black to it. So a lot of these mixes you can make yourself, and it's important, I think, to learn how to do that. Turquoise is another example. It's very easy to make turquoise. This is M. Graham's turquoise. It's basically PB15:3, which you saw up here. Also PB, it's really phthalo, it's a version of phthalo blue is what it is. And then they add phthalo green to it, and that makes turquoise. This is Cobalt Teal by Daniel Smith. Now that's a different pigment, it's PG50. Here's a Bluegreen by Maymery Blue, and it also has PB15:3. So you can see it's these are common mixes, and it has PG7. So it's basically the same combination. So Bluegreen by Maymery Blue is just a little bit greener version of turquoise, basically. And down here we've got our greens. This is, it's called Phthalo Green, but it has different names in different companies. It's in Winsor Newton. It's called Windsor Green Blue Shade. In Maymery Blue, it's called Cupic Green. And in Da Vinci, it's called Phthalo Green. And then you have a little bit different version over here called Bamboo in Holbein, which is PG36. It's a different pigment. Okay, Cascade Green by Daniel Smith uses the same PB15 and a brown PB7 to get Cascade Green. Hooker's Green is basically Phthalo Green, which is PG7, and a yellow PY42, which is usually yellow ochre. And that's a Hooker's by Da Vinci. Here you have Terre Verte, which is the PG17 and the PG23. That's by Holbein. And this is the Cobalt Teal by Da Vinci. And this is a PB36, which is a slightly different pigment. And here it is again in Bamboo by Holbein. So as you can see, your blues can lean to the warm side or the cool side. If they lean to the cool side, they are moving toward green, like these here. And even these up here, if they're a warm blue, they're moving toward the purple or the red side. So you see you've got your cobalts and your ultramarines and your indanthrines over here. And then you've got the fairly neutral blues, like cerulean. So there you have it. Those are your different, at least those are the different options that I have for blues on my palette. And hopefully you found this helpful. And please subscribe and come back soon when we will be discussing the color yellow.